because I still think that the presence of Richard Nixon in Dallas, which can be documented, has not been fully addressed. I believe that Gerald Ford being on the Warren Commission has not been fully addressed. I believe that the assassination, or by fate or plan, of Robert Kennedy has not been fully addressed. And I have yet to have anybody address themselves to the Trilateral Committee or the Bilderbergers' influence on anything that's happened regarding the Kennedy assassination.
All right, let's get some comments from Mr. Lipton.
Well, the only two comments that I want to say is that, first of all, Ford was a congressional leader at the time, and it was perfectly legitimate for Ford to be on the Warren Commission, as it was legitimate for Hale Boggs, for example, to be on the Warren Commission. The difference being that Boggs ended up getting killed in Alaska in a plane wreck, and Ford became president of the United States. Richard Nixon was in Dallas because of the Bottlers Convention held at one of the convention centers in Dallas. In fact, LBJ was at the convention the day before also. A lot of people were at the Bottlers Convention. I don't see why people focus on Nixon's presence in Dallas as being significant. And also, the evidence in this case indicates that the key to this whole affair is the president's body. And Nixon had no access to the government apparatus. He was not part of the U.S. government at the time. He was just a private citizen. I just don't think it adds up to make an accusation against Richard Nixon for this.
Back to Dallas, Texas.
Was established by Lyndon Johnson, largely and basically to reaffirm what the FBI report would be on the assassination. That was the purpose of the Warren Commission.
Dick? Yes? I hate to bother you again, but I wanted you to know that I made an announcement. Well, announcement what? This special commission. Have already? Yeah. And I got keys to here. May I read it to you? The President announced that he is appointing a special commission to study and report upon all the facts and circumstances relating to the assassination of late President John F. Kennedy and the subsequent violent death of the man charged with the assassination. The President stated that the majority and minority leadership of the Senate and the House have been consulted with respect to the special commission. The members of the special commission are told Chief Justice Warren Stanton, Senator Richard Welfare Georgia, Senator John Clipper, Kentucky, Representative Hale Boggs, Louisiana, Representative Gerald Ford, Michigan, Honorable Allen Dulles, Washington, Honorable John J. McCoy, New York. Well, Mr. President, I know I don't have to get my vote to you, but I just can't serve on that commission. I'm highly honored you think about it in connection with it, but I couldn't serve there with Chief Justice Warren. I don't like that man. I don't have any confidence in him. Dick, it's already been announced, and you can serve with anybody for the good of America. And this is a question that has a good many more ramifications than on the surface. And we've got to take this out of the arena where they're testifying and Khrushchev and Castro did this and did that, and kicking us into a war that can kill 40 million Americans in an hour. And you put on your uniform in a minute. Now, the reason I asked Warren is because he's the chief witness of this country, and we've got to have judicial people we can have.
I don't think the Chief Justice should have said them.
You never turned your country down? Well, this is not me. This is your country.
I can't do it. I haven't got the time.
Oh, well, then, all right. We'll just make the time. There's not going to be any time to begin with. All you're going to do is evaluate who the report he's already made. Secretary of State came over here to have nothing.
Yes.
Are you familiar with this proposed group that they're trying to put together on the study of your report?
Well, I haven't heard of that. I've seen the reports on the Senate investigating committee that they've been talking about.
I want to get by just with your file and your report.
It would be very, very bad to have a rash of investigation.
Well, the only way we can stop them is probably to appoint a high level one to evaluate your report.
Yeah.
And put somebody that's pretty good on it from that I could select and tell the House and Senate not to go ahead with this investigation.
My guests, Michael Canfield and Alan Weberman, and right to the phone calls.
You know, on your program in the past, you've had people saying that the Rockefellers have had a certain amount of control over the CIA in the past.
Definitely.
And I'm wondering if in your investigations has their name or
It sure has. In fact, we reprint a document that links Nelson Rockefeller with, one of America's most notorious sleazoids, Lee Harvey Oswald. George de Mohrenschildt, who befriended Oswald in Dallas when he returned from Russia, was linked with Rockefeller when, in 1941, in a letter dated April 5th, 1941, to von Mohrenschildt from Kenny Maydell, Facts and Films, 33 West 60th Street, New York City, mentioning getting necessary letters from Nelson Rockefeller.
Oh, I'm not sure. I heard your documentation, but I don't know what you're getting to. What does that mean?
In other words,
in what way is
Mohrenschildt, when he was questioned by the FBI in 1941 in regard to alleged spying activities on behalf of the Germans, he had a letter on him which mentioned getting necessary letters from Nelson Rockefeller.
Well, how does that time Lee Harvey Oswald?
De Mohrenschildt was Oswald's best friend in Dallas.
Well, let's get out of that era of time and get up to into the 60s. Can you tie?
Okay, Rockefeller had representatives on the Warren Commission. John J. McCloy was president of Chase Manhattan Bank. He engineered the merger of Chase and Manhattan banks. He was one of Rockefeller's top lieutenants. He and William T. Coleman, who worked for the Dilworth Law Firm, which handles Rockefeller's financial interests, and Coleman was later appointed Secretary of Transportation, were Rockefeller's representatives on the Warren Commission. Now, Earl Cabell's brother, Charles Cabell, was director of the Bay of Pigs operation because Dulles was in Puerto Rico, didn't want to come back and tip the Cuban people, Castro to his intentions. So Cabell was fired by Kennedy as a result of Bay of Pigs, and he pleaded with Kennedy for the air support and was denied it. Jimmy Hoffa, who we link quite closely with Jack Ruby in coup d'etat, is on extended vacation. We produce another document which I found in the National Archives that is almost conclusive indication that a cover-up existed on the part of the FBI. This is a letter to J. Edgar Hoover from J. Lee Rankin, head of the Warren Commission, in which he refers to another letter, and I'll quote from the document, which is reprinted. You state that in a letter of January 14th, 1964, you notified the Commission that the Dallas Police Department advised that the broadcast was initiated on the basis of a description furnished by an unidentified citizen who had observed an individual approximating Oswald's description running from the Texas School Book Depository immediately after the assassination. Now, immediately after the assassination, Oswald was being questioned by Patrolman Baker, who saw pigeons fly off the roof of the Texas School Book Depository and walked in through the front door, talked with the manager, went upstairs, and the first one he questioned was Lee Harvey Oswald, stuck a gun in his ribs. And this is what tipped Oswald off that, hey, he might be a patsy in this whole deal, as he told the press later on that night, because they must have told Oswald the assassination was going to happen from miles away, and when he realized that the building he was in was under suspicion, and he looked at his background, Fair Play for Cuba Committee, defector, communist, trying to get to, go to Cuba, he realized he'd be a prime suspect. Speaking of the Fair Play for Cuba Committee, Oswald had 544 Camp Street stamped on his leaflets. This was the headquarters of the Cuban Revolutionary Council, which was led by E. Howard Hunt.
In the story, we backtracked the chain of command up through the court fire and laying the doings at the doorstep of LBJ. He, in my opinion, had an almost maniacal urge to become president. He regarded J.F.K. as he was, in fact, an obstacle to achieving that. He could have waited for J.F.K. to finish out his term and then undoubtedly a second term. So that would have put the LBJ at the head of a long list of people who were waiting for some change in the executive branch.